Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 5 of Keyboard Harmony and also the rest of your classes. We are trucking right along, doing super great. I hope you're all enjoying your long weekend. I'm uploading this video a day early, so if you want to spend your holiday practicing and recording Keyboard Harmony videos, go ahead. I have a couple of thoughts this week. After grading more assignments, something I'm noticing pretty frequently is people are doing weird fingerings, like just kind of made up on the spot fingerings for scales and arpeggios. We are grading you on correct fingering, so make sure you're looking at those. You can do exactly what's in Piano Marvel, or you can follow along with what I do, which will be just a tiny bit different this week. We're just substituting a few fingers that we're changing, but we will be grading you based on your fingering, so make sure you're watching that closely. Okay, so, yeah, I think that was my only thought. I don't know. If I remember, I'll tell you my other thoughts. So here is what you're working on this week. We're starting with more scales. This one is G minor. What key are we in? We're doing B flat major. Sorry, I didn't actually look at this. I just quickly looked at it. Okay, so how do we know this is B flat major instead of G minor? First of all, it says at the top, B flat major. The other thing that we're looking at is it starts on B flat, ends on B flat. So these are all the things you would look at if you were paying attention. Unlike me, who just assumed we were still doing minor keys. Okay, so this is a scale that is quite a bit different than what you've done before because it is starting on a black key, which means your fingering is going to change quite a bit. So with right hand, like I mentioned at the beginning, we are substituting, or I'm choosing to substitute. Instead of using 4, I will use 2. Notice that this 4 is on B flat and the top B flat is also a 4. That's the reason they start with a 4. It's consistent. I like to start with 2 because it's more comfortable. So whichever you choose. The groupings for this are quite a bit different than what you're used to because they're offset. So we're starting with one note by itself and then a group of 3, then a group of 4. So it's the same thing you did before. We're just starting with a single note instead of ending with a single note. So remember, before we would call 5 our ending note. Now we've changed that. So a single note, group of 3, group of 4, group of 3, group of 4, and then back down. And then an ending note. I would suggest practicing in these blocked patterns instead of just starting out with what it says to do. Because for me, at least, it's easier just to remember I play 3 notes in a row with 1, 2, 3, and then 4 notes in a row with 1, 2, 3, 4. And 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, etc. Right? That's just my personal preference, and then you can break it up. A group, group of 3 and a group of 4. Remember, when we are doing 2-hem scales, you can do these all on your own. Sorry, I said that weird. With hands alone. I'm going to switch so you can see my camera a little bit better and talk through that one more time. So we have group of 1, single note, group of 3, group of 4, group of 3, group of 4, and that's the end because the top note is B flat, and then we reverse, group of 4, group of 3, group of 4, group of 3, and then a single note. And again, you can either use 2 or 4. 2 is more comfortable for me. 4 is consistent with your fingering. Quick reminder, when you're playing these, any scales, but especially scales with black keys, you don't want to be adjusting back and forth like this. For example, notice how I lift up my hand to reach those black keys. The more simple thing to do is just stay in the middle of the keys where you can already reach. So notice my wrist is just staying in the same direction the whole time. Okay, so left hand, we're starting with group of 3, group of 4, 3, 4, and then substitute. You can go to a 3 or substitute with a 2. I like 3 personally. This is your single note. of 3, group of 4, group of 3. A couple tricks for remembering your fingering if you're having a hard time watching the notes in your hands and the finger numbers, and there's a lot going on. With your right hand, whenever you play a black key, you play the thumb afterwards when you're going up. Black key, thumb, black key, thumb. That's the pattern. For your left hand, it's the same thing, but coming down. Black key, thumb, black key, thumb, black key, thumb, black key, thumb. And then we end, right? So that's one thing you can watch. So remember going up, thumb comes after a black key, coming down, thumb comes after a black key. For the opposite direction, that's harder to remember. So right hand coming down, I would just keep track of your, whenever you play a black key, that's when you're crossing. So for me, I'm keeping track. I have a 4, so that means 3 is next, and then that means 4, and we just alternate. For your left hand, same deal, starting with a 3, which means 4 is next, and then 3 is next, 4, and then we end, and then coming back down, it's after a black key. So that was a lot. I know I talked through it really quickly. Please rewatch that section if you want these tricks to help you remember things. I'm going to slow down to 90 and play the whole thing as written, hands together.
1, 2, set, go.
Okay, next up, believe it or not, arpeggios. Okay, so B flat is a little bit of an awkward arpeggio to start with. That has black and white keys. Oh, that starts on a black key. Basically, what you're going to do, again, I'm replacing, instead of a 4, I'm going to replace with a 2 at the beginning. But what I'm aiming for is my thumb on D in my right hand. And after that, I know it's just 2, 4, and get my thumb on D, 2, 4. So your right hand shape is going to be single note, first inversion triad, repeat that triad, and then come back down, and then a single note. I really highly suggest practicing in blocked chords because there's less going on and you can focus on the shape, and then you can break it up. For your left hand, this one's a little weird, but also kind of easy. This is the shape. Root position triad, but notice I'm using 3, 2, 1. And then I repeat that. And then the 3 on the top, this is your single note. Repeat the triad. Repeat the triad. So the general rule for arpeggios is you want to avoid putting thumbs and pinkies on black keys as much as possible, just because pinkies are short, thumbs are short, it's just awkward, right? So right or left hand again, root position, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you break it down. I'll play through this whole thing, slow down to 90. Here we go.
1, set, go.
There's your B flat major arpeggio. Okay, so next up we have E flat major scale. Let's see, what tips do I have for you? Okay, so this is applicable to the B flat major scale, but it's easier to think about with E flat major. There is this rule, it's called the black key rule. And basically that means whenever you come across 3 black keys, like this group of 3 black keys that are all grouped together, you're going to use 2, 3, 4 with both hands. So you're using your 3 middle fingers. Let me switch. Okay, so whenever you come across this, 3 middle fingers, whenever you come across a group of 2 black keys, you're going to use your peace fingers, right? Peace. This E flat major scale does not include all of these black keys, but you can still think of them as, okay, I'm coming up to the group of 3 black keys. I'm going to use 2, 3, 4. That might not be helpful, but it will be helpful later. So just kind of keep that in mind. So if we're following black key fingering, we're starting with a 3 and then a group of 4, group of 3, group of 4, group of 3. So again, I'm just doing the same thing as before. So right hand follows that black key fingering I was talking about. Left hand is a little bit different. We have a group of 3, then 4, then 3, then 4, then a single note. I'm going to play through this. I really highly suggest you practice in groups. I can't stress that enough. It's really helpful. If you are confused about how to do this or want to walk through each scale practicing in the groups, just set up a meeting with me or Ben and we can walk you through the whole thing. But for now, I'm just going to play this scale at 90.
1, 2, set, go.
Oh, goodness.
1.
Sorry, I started playing it again. We don't need to do that. Okay, so next up, you have arpeggios. When we're looking at these arpeggios, this one is a little bit easier for me to remember. The shape you're creating, the triad that we're arpeggiating, has black keys on the outside and a white key in the middle. So whenever you have this kind of shape, some people call this an Oreo triad because black on the outside, white on the inside. What you're going to do is all you're focused on is getting your thumb on that white key. Because like I said, we want to avoid thumbs on black keys. So in order to do that, we're going to use 2, 1, 4, 2, or the only fingers you can use are 1, 2, and 4. So if we're trying to get our thumb on G, that means naturally 2 is next, and then 4 because those are both black keys, and then 1 because it's a white key, and then 2 and 4 because they're black keys. Same deal for your left hand. So this is kind of nice because if you're playing hands together, your thumbs will always play the same note together. So left hand, 2, 1, 4, 2 because they're black keys, 1 because it's white, 4, 2 because they're black keys. These arpeggios kind of scare some people for some reason. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, they're kind of easier to play because you're not trying to keep track of a bunch of white keys. Your hand fits these a little bit more naturally, I think. Okay, I'll play through this at 90.
1, set, go.
There it is, E flat major arpeggio. Okay, so other scales that you have in here, I don't actually know what scales there all are. A flat major, watch the fingering. I feel like me giving you tips for individual scales might not be helpful all the time. So go through A flat major, make sure you look at the fingerings, look for patterns that are helpful for you. A flat major arpeggio is going to feel exactly the same as E flat major because you have an Oreo shape, black keys on the outside, white key in the middle. Same fingering as E flat major. And then we have some music.